everyone, it's me Roxanne, and I'm back with a new video featuring the Singer Quantum Stylus 9960. In our group recently, we've had some discussions about the auto cutter and how the thread for some people seems to be a little too short to suit them when they start another row of stitching. So I wanted to show you an alternative method for using the auto cutter for those of you that don't like it or are afraid of it or it's not working anymore, that we do have an alternative method on our machines for cutting. And it's a manual cutter, and I'm going to show you how to use that now. Before I get on with showing you how the manual cutter works, I have a little tip for you when changing your spools of thread. Now, I noticed that I have a light blue thread on, and I like to show my demonstrations with a black or something that I think will show up a little better. So I wanted to give you a tip for changing spools of thread. For years on an older machine, I always would take the spool off and just pull it right back off and drag it through the thread path. But I've read on other blogs and tips in other groups, and lots of people suggest that you cut it at the spool and then pull it out of your needle and pull it out of your machine that way. And I've started to do that because I think that it's better for the machine, and it's not going in a way that it's not supposed to have the thread drag through the machine. So I thought I would share that tip with you, and it's something maybe you want to try. Here I am at the front bed of the sewing machine, and many years ago when I learned how to sew, I was always taught to have a tail of thread to hold on to as I started a line of stitching. So although I find the auto cutters are fantastic for some applications, this is how I've always been used to sewing and how I like to sew most frequently. So I wanted to show you the auto cutter's alternative on the 9960, which is a manual cutter. Here I am on the left side of the sewing machine, and this is the little apparatus I wanted to point out to you. This is a manual cutter. I've also taken off the bed of the machine, and I've tried to give you a little better angle on exactly where this is located. And some of you might not even know it exists or know that you have this option. So that's why I wanted to do a video and point it out. Now I'm holding my two threads in the back, and when you finish sewing a seam, you can just put it right in this little slot and pull. And it leaves just the perfect amount of tail, about, well, I'd say little more than 2 inches long, to hold on to securely as you start your next line of stitching. So this is an option for all of us, and this is the option that I use most often. So now I'm going to show you how it works. So now I'm going to show you exactly how it works. I have a piece of my demo fabric here. I'm going to place it in normally as I would to stitch, and here I have my two threads behind me I'm holding on to. I'm going to place my presser foot down, and as I start to sew, I'm going to hold on. And then as I get to the end, I'm going to make sure that my needle is up, pick up my presser foot, guide my fabric back right to that slot in the cutter, and just drag it off. Therefore, I end with a nice beginning and a nice ending. So no more of those little snarls that some people talk about getting when their thread is too short. Now, for those of you that just love the auto cutter, because let's admit, it is pretty darn fabulous to have, I have another solution for you if you feel that the thread is too short and makes maybe a little knot at the beginning of your next seam. start off with what's called a leader. All this is a piece of scrap fabric to start sewing on before you start sewing on your project. So if it leaves a little knot in the beginning, you don't really care. So just sew across your leader and then guide in your fabric. Some people end with a leader as well. You can, or you can just use the auto cutter. Although I don't use a leader very often because it's not something that I learned to sew with, I think it's a great idea. But what I do use is a piece of fabric or scrap, like I've shown here as my leader. Whenever I leave my machine and turn my machine off, I always unplug it from the wall. I live in Florida and we can have a storm that just shows up in a matter of minutes, and I'm always afraid that my machine will get zapped. So I don't ever want that to happen. Another good tip for leaving your machine is always with the presser foot down. It takes the tension off the spring that's inside your presser foot, and I've read and I've done this for a very long time, and I just think it's the best way to leave your machine. So I wanted to pass that tip along. Well, thank you for joining me for my latest video featuring the Singer Quantum Stylus 9960. I hope that if you've had issues with your auto cutter, now you understand that there's an alternative method for you. Also, I hope that you'll try some of these tips and tricks that I've given you for basic sewing. So until the next time, have a happy creative day. Bye now.